Take a listen to Noodle Mash urging her audience not to mock Mrs Portland.
I don't want anybody making fun of her, right? Nothing about her looks, nothing about her hair, nothing about disabilities, because we're not about that. Okay, that's not okay, even for her. It's not.
Now, contrast that with her warmly welcoming and engaging with Where's Walter's channel. A channel notorious for mocking, antagonising and ridiculing Mrs Portland and her husband.
Hey, Ms. Brazy, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you. Hey, where's Walter? Well, I actually can comment on that, where's Walter, but you know what? I'm going to save that. We'll talk about that later.
This is the type of company Noodle Mash keeps. These are the creators she allows in her live streams, actively engaging with them, the very same people who relentlessly target Mrs Portland. And this is the same Mrs Portland that Noodle Mash claims is her stalker, a woman with severe cognitive conditions, both physical and mental, and they've all been laid bare for the entire YouTube community. Yet Noodle Mash has no problem fostering relationships with those who gleefully attack her alleged stalker. It doesn't add up. Noodle Mash portrays Mrs Portland as a threat to her and her family. Well, let's talk about Where's Walter, a channel that once posted a video depicting Mrs Portland being physically assaulted and beaten with bats. And yet, these are the people Noodle Mash allows into her space, chatting with them, engaging with them, integrating them into her community. Even more disturbingly, Where's Walter openly admitted in a comment that there'll always be a thorn in Mrs Portland's side. They've made it their mission to target a disabled woman in her 50s, and this is the very person Noodle Mash supposedly fears. If you were genuinely being stalked by someone you deemed dangerous, wouldn't you do everything in your power to distance yourself from those who actively harass that person? Wouldn't you take a stand against channels dedicated to provoking them? And this Where's Walter isn't alone. You have people like Get Your Cray Cray on, which is another channel that fixates on Mrs Portland, discussing her family, her personal life, and even her sex life. Where's Walter has even targeted her husband, who's actually called Walter, who also suffers from mental and physical disabilities, mocking his appearance by elongating his neck. Imagine if the same was done to someone with Down syndrome or cerebral palsy. Would that be tolerated? Because Mrs Portland's disabilities aren't immediately visible, does that somehow make it acceptable? And this is what Noodle Mash aligns herself with. We're talking about channels that depict Mrs Portland in degrading, humiliating ways, showing her eating feces, mocking her and her husband in sexual contexts, and yet despite claiming to be terrified of this dangerous stalker, Noodle Mash actively engages with those very people who seek to provoke, mock and push Mrs Portland over the edge and react. Now let's be clear, I'm not saying Noodle Mash orders these creators to make these videos, but what I am saying is this: if she truly feared Mrs Portland, why isn't she blocking them? Why does she allow these channels in her community, engaging with them, giving them a platform? If you're truly in fear for your safety, wouldn't you take every measure to remove yourself from those who go out of their way to torment the person you claim is stalking you? Ask yourself, does this behaviour make sense for someone who is genuine and a true victim? I'm Truth Untold. Thank you for watching.